Some more information on Kevin Love. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, like always, like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you watch till the end, it really helps me out. All right, so new intel on Kevin Love. This comes from Mark Stein in his most recent release. He says here, talking about Kevin Love, he says, 5-time NBA All-Star Kevin Love is actively exploring potential pathways out of Utah after he was dealt by Miami to the Jazz as part of the 3-team Norm Powell trade. So Kevin Love makes about $4 million per season. This is an expiring year for Kevin Love on his contract. I know that the constant thought with Jazz fans is no one wants to be here. No one wants to play for the Utah Jazz. Everyone leaves the Jazz. Well, the reality is that if Utah wanted to give a contract to Kevin Love, then Kevin Love would be tweeting out how much he loves Utah and would be excited to show off the purple jerseys and how much he loves the mountains and fishing and all this stuff. That's just a reality. The money talks in the NBA and with all of us, if we're being honest. The reality is, and this is based off of the other rumor I talked about before. Hopefully you watched one of my latest rumor videos. But Utah revealed that they are just trying to keep their cap clean after next season. So this upcoming season, in their, like the latest rumor, just if you haven't listened or watched the video, that's fine. But basically what the Jazz said is that they look at Lauri Markkanen as the only veteran on their team, on their books, going forward. Everyone else is either young or in mid-development, whatever you want to call it. Kevin Love doesn't fit into that. The Jazz are not going to give him an extension beyond next season, and it's why that trade for the Jazz was really good, is because it's expiring deals. That Kevin Love contract is an expiring deal, and Utah can either use it to trade it, or they can just keep Kevin Love on the team, and then the money just falls off, and the Jazz are in great shape. Utah is not going to win a lot of games this year, but they are going to play to win. They are likely going to be a big-time trade rumor mill with Lauri Markkanen all season, but it's not clear if that's going to happen. But what is clear is they are going to get a top 8 pick next year, hopefully top 3 after winning the lottery. Please, this time. And then that after next season, then they'll have clear books. They will know what they want to do. They'll have a bigger and better idea of what they want to do with certain players. For example, they've got to make some decisions on Walker Kessler. He is extension eligible right now, and no extension has happened. And so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch this year. My guess is they want at least one more year of evidence of what he is and can be before they give him some sort of big contract. Or maybe Utah doesn't want to give him a big contract, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe they'll be able to negotiate something more reasonable. I am not very big on giving Walker Kessler more than like $20 million a season. I don't care that the cap's going up. You don't just give out money willy-nilly to everyone just because, you know, they're starting caliber player. You got to be good with your books, especially with how tight this CBA is. It's very clear Utah understands this CBA pretty well, and that even that Lauri Markkanen contract, which is still tradable but it's hard to move, is strict. And so Utah has to be really smart. They're doing a great job. They have to keep those books clean so that they can actually have an ability to make the right decisions. I listened to something the other day. I can't remember which pod it was, but it was a really good thought. I think it was on the Zach Lowe pod, the guest that was on there. But anyways, the idea is that when you have a team that's already set and you're trying to get that last final trade to win a championship, it's really hard to make a trade. Right? Because you're under the gun. You have got to do something. Like the Milwaukee Bucks have been trying every season to make that big-time trade that gets them over the top to win another title with Giannis while they have him. And meanwhile, they've got all the rumors in the world and all the Lakers fans saying that they're going to get Giannis and blah, blah, blah. The difference is when you're not worried about winning, when your team is set in a way that you know you can lose games, like the Utah Jazz. I do think Utah's got to be careful because Will Hardy's a good coach. Kessler's a good starting center. Lauri Markkanen, if he plays every game and plays well, is a good player. And then they've got young players that are, and they may be a little bit better than we think. So we'll find out. But Utah is probably pretty comfortable with how things are going to go next season. And they aren't under the gun for a trade. So it's an advantage in a way. Utah, whatever they want to do this season, they are not under a ton of pressure to make anything happen right away. Likely why, if the Jazz do want to trade Lauri Markkanen, and I've heard little things, that's definitely not something that's out of the question. And we know that from rumors from the Stein line, from Jake Fisher. So Utah would like to have Markkanen on the books beyond this season if it all works out. If they're able to get a top 3 pick this year and have Markkanen, that's beautiful. That works great. But it might not work out that way. So we'll see. The good news is Utah is not under any sort of pressure to make a trade. The Lakers got lucky with Luka Doncic, but they're notorious for making just kind of trades that they have to do every single season the last 5 years to make LeBron happy, and it hasn't really amounted to much. And so Utah, they were able to make a trade with Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. Those were a little bit under the gun, but they did a great job. It's really a big reason why, guys, that when you have rumors saying one thing and the Jazz saying another, or local beat writers saying one thing because they're trying to protect their sources within the Jazz, and then you see rumors from other national reporters who are talking to other teams saying, "Hey, the manager of this team is telling me that Utah's talking about a trade with them." And then you listen to a beat writer locally who says, "No, the Jazz don't want to." Honestly, it's a one giant game that everyone's playing, but the big thing that Utah's trying to do in those situations is just make it look like that they're not in a rush to make a move. And it's a smart play because it worked. It worked with Donovan and it worked with Rudy. It really worked with Rudy. Utah goes into it and says, "You know what? We don't have to make this trade now." Because what happens with teams that are under urgency, or teams that put unnecessary urgency on themselves, is they make bad moves. If you're under the gun, like let's say you're going to go buy a car. If you have a car, if you're set with cars and you're just out shopping and you don't have to buy a car, chances are you're going to look for the best deal. You're going to find the best rebate, whatever. You're going to be able to shop around. You may even get a car from out of state that can get shipped to you because it's a great deal or whatever. But what happens if you need to buy a car because your one car, the engine died? You kind of have to go with the best deal available, right? Same idea. Utah may not make a trade at all. They don't have to right away because they're set up to do what they want to do next season. It's a little different than the two seasons before. Utah had not set up their situation very well. So they were in 2 seasons of just kind of frantically, or at least trying to get a good deal that they could, hoping they'd win the lottery. It did not happen. They finally have set everything up in a better way. They got lucky with Ace Bailey falling to them at 5. That was amazing. And they're doing the same thing with Kevin Love. I actually really like what they're doing here with Kevin Love because they are not going to just make a trade because someone wants to happen. I mean, Kevin Love obviously wants to get another contract. And I don't know if there's a team out there that'll make it happen. He's $4 million. So Utah doesn't have to make a move at this point and probably doesn't have to. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Love even played a little bit for the Jazz. He can play a little bit of small ball 5 here and there, and Utah could use that to kind of get used to playing that style of basketball with some of the young players. I'm sure Utah wants to do that, but they don't have to, and they don't have to play Kevin Love, and they won't get any fines if they don't play Kevin Love. And it's a $4 million contract, so I'm sure there's someone out there that might make that happen, but I don't know if there's a lot of teams out there that are clamoring for Kevin Love. And we know that Kevin Love wants to go to one of these glamour markets or whatever. But, I mean, who on the Lakers that is making $4 million are the Jazz going to take? What it's going to be is Utah is fine to make a move like that. They just want to make sure it's not a player that interrupts the play of their young players like Walter Clayton, Ace Bailey, and Taylor Hendricks, and then also our sophomores and our older youth, I guess, the Walker Kesslers, Keontae George, all those players that still need development as well. So Utah doesn't have to make a move. They'll be able to make up, everyone was losing their minds over a second-round pick they gave for Colin Sexton. They'll likely get that back at some point when they trade Kevin Love. Sounds like my dog is barking at someone, so I apologize. Good sign that I probably need to end the video. Guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you to all the All-Stars and everyone who supports this channel. I really appreciate it. I will talk to you next time.